Hi everyone, comic book reviewer here. This time doing another Christmas film review, and this one is on Kirk Cameron's Saving Christmas. Now, as you know, Saving Christmas, or as it was known as Kirk Cameron Saving Christmas, was a 2014 faith-based Christmas comedy film, which was meant to have Kirk Cameron as the main star, portraying to be this hero and savior, trying to save his brother-in-law and help him understand that Christmas is still a Christian holiday, despite the whole material possessions and all that. And the best way I'll describe the film is that it's basically Kirk Cameron trying to play this hero and savior, despite obviously trying to kind of make himself sound like he's this guy who has things figured out, despite not seeing things from people's perspectives. And the premise of the film is meant to follow Kirk Cameron, who at the start addresses himself as himself to talk about the audience about his views on Santa, his Christian faith, as well as the holiday becoming too tied to material possessions. And the film mainly switches to Kirk Cameron attending a Christmas party at his sister's house until he notices his brother-in-law having a different view on the whole Christmas thing. And throughout the film, it's basically Kirk Cameron forcing his views, ideals, and not seeing things from his brother-in-law's perspective, or trying to understand it from a personal level. I think Kirk Cameron had good intentions, and I think it's clear he really wanted to kind of help bring Christmas back to the right holiday, but really, Christmas is more about coming to terms as a family, a gathering, and a time to kind of put away your problems, your insecurities, and so forth, and just enjoy a time to kind of make peace with everything that's happened throughout the year, and just try and celebrate it as part of a family. I think the problem is that Kirk Cameron trying to paint himself as this knight in shining armor just makes himself seem like he's trying to play this guy who can make this difference despite being it for himself. I think with some Christmas films and that, you can make the characters work as long as you don't paint them as a copy and paste version of yourself. At least with It's a Wonderful Life Gets Light at, with George Bailey, he was always able to help people with their own problems, but he always understood not to take his life for granted when he finally got to meet his guardian angel, who was meant to be Clarence. And I think it's kind of like looking at Home Alone. Yeah, Kevin was a bit of a pest and a nuisance, but he had to realize the consequences of obviously taking his family for granted, and had to kind of understand the consequences of getting his wish to be home alone. These felt like believable characters during the Christmas holiday, and one of those cautionary messages that I think some Christmas films had to be. And I think for the most part, you could also have made his brother-in-law and him having to come to terms with both their views and having to understand it on a personal level. I think the thing about life is people are going to have problems or issues similar to yours, and you can't really force and as well as expect people to see obviously your beliefs and that are the right ones. You also got to see it that their personal problems are going to be a lot different from yours, and by the end of the day, people aren't you, and they never will be. I think it's clear Kirk Cameron really tried to kind of make his movie sound like it was this big important message. It was clear that he was trying to kind of hope this movie would kind of help obviously help with some people, but by the end of the day, he kind of dragged himself under, and he kind of thinks obviously making comments on his Facebook about obviously atheist smear campaign, when clearly he was trying to act like this hero and savior, despite failing to see that people's views, ideals, and paths were going to be completely different from his. Is Kirk Cameron Saving Christmas good? No. Has it got moments where it can be good? No. Is it an okay film? No. but it definitely deserves 2 thumbs downs. One of those preachy films that's trying to kind of get people on the wrong path. It's kind of clear Kirk Cameron didn't really think anything through, and it's him painting himself as this hero in shining armor, showing off a bit of egotism. So, comic reviewer here, signing out.